So we'll do just clap and we'll just sync the audio here. All right. So.
Okay. My name is Ross Grigg. I am a first year, I guess technically, first year transfer student to Florida State's mechanical engineering program at the FSU FAMU College of Engineering. I personally have been building computers since I was about 12, and about 2 years ago I started building keyboards. It started just as like a little hobby. Since about 2016, 2017, I've heard about the process of building a keyboard, but back then I didn't know how to, and it wasn't about buying 50 different parts. You really bought one board, and then you had your set of switches, and then you had your keycaps, and switches are cheap now, especially compared to where they used to be. So now you could experiment with all sorts of things. It just felt like there was so many options. These days less, but I used to be sitting at a computer 8-9 hours a day for work and for social time with my friends. I live in a different city than most people that I converse with. So like, it's a cool connection, right? Like you kind of develop this sort of like your keyboard, your mouse, that's what you touch, that's what you interface with. And then mechanical switches, you have this process of, well, you have several different processes depending on what kinds of switches you're getting. Most switches follow, like the one in this one, basically they have like two metal prongs, and as you press a switch down, rather than having it like hit like a rubbery bottom out, it's connecting with like actual plastic to plastic. Like this is pretty much what's going to be in any keyboard like this one. And you open the switch up, and what you've got here is you've got a bottom housing, you've got a top housing, you've got your spring, and you've got your stem. Like that. It doesn't feel as mushy and kind of cheap. In a lot of cases, I think, when most of the boards that I have around here feel very like tactile, more premium, more well-made. And that usually just goes along with the idea that you're usually making these, you're either buying them for a lot of money or you're making them by hand, so they are well-made. Thing about mechanical keyboards is it's just a lot more parts, right? With these, right? Like, I mean, you have this housing, you have this like stem, you have this top housing, you have this bottom housing, you have all the metal inside that goes into it, you have a spring. In some cases you can buy them pre-lubed, which is another hand process that somebody has to go through. So it just becomes a little bit, it increasingly becomes more expensive as you look toward more premium stuff. I mean, these are plastics and stuff that you'd get out of a mold, but even, I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on the audio. You can't. It's cast aluminum, not cast aluminum, CNC aluminum. And so that's a block of aluminum that they've put in a machine and had it drill out all of the center parts. That takes, one board like that can take 5 hours. I actually just built this one. This is like an ergonomic style keyboard. I suck at using it, but they're fun, and they're supposed to help with posture. And like I said, if I'm sitting at a computer for who knows how long, it's probably a good thing that I'm doing something for my body that's probably not the worst. Honestly, I got a lot of my interest from YouTube channels. There's Glarses, a lot of these guys do like comedy sketches involved with a lot of their reviews. So Glarses is one guy, Hippiotech is another guy that I watched. But then also, I don't normally go on places like Reddit, but r/keyboards, literally just obviously a whole community of people. Those are places that I went, specifically YouTube channels, to kind of get just like one reviewer's sort of opinion on something, but also like subreddits where you get sort of a conglomerate of information from a ton of different sources. I felt that was super helpful for making decisions. I think it can be a little intimidating, and I think that is just because of the history that kind of goes into it, and especially if you start where I started, which was like buying cheap keyboards and kind of like upcycling them. You will have to learn things like soldering, you'll have to probably learn some simple circuitry, stuff like that. But really, the process these days, everything's hot swap, which means you can just literally throw switches into a board. You can buy boards for really not that much. You can make some pretty cool stuff for really not that much money. Generally, just building cool things for myself and cool things for people in my life that will help them enjoy using the technology that they use in their day-to-day lives. I mean, I think it's a cool outlet to have some fun just putting something together. It's almost like Legos in that way, but it's also, you know, it's functional and it helps people, and I think it's great. So I honestly, if I just keep doing that, I'm gonna be happy.